Hello, everyone, and welcome to the August 27th, 2024 regular council meeting for the Village of Lytton. I'd like to take a moment to remind everyone to please turn off your videos, mute your microphones, and to allow council to begin the proceedings. Just to let you know, we are being recorded and broadcasted on the Village of Lytton YouTube channel. If anyone is looking for a video recording of this meeting or a past meeting, you can go to the Village YouTube channel and watch it there. Thank you, Your Worship. You may call the meeting to order.
Thank you. I call this regular council meeting of August 27th to order at 7:01 p.m. I want to begin by acknowledging that we're meeting this evening on the territory of the Entlecapan people. Here in the hall, we have Councillor Toss, Councillor McCann, Councillor Lightfoot, and myself, Mayor O'Connor, along with Brian Baxter and our corporate officer, Lisa Storoshenko. Joining us by Zoom is Councillor Michelle. We'll begin by looking at the adoption of the agenda, but we do have an amendment to make. We're going to be removing items 8.5.1 and 9.1.1, which is in regard to the zoning parking bylaw. We're going to be removing it and bringing it back at another meeting. And I'm just going to ask our CAO, Diane Mombriquette, to make a few comments about that.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to explain why we're removing that item from the agenda tonight. We have been working on this for quite a while, as you're aware. It's been through a couple of different iterations, but I was having a conversation today with our corporate recovery lead about the bylaw and about some of the specifics, particularly with respect to references to other legislation being incorporated into our bylaw, and as well looking at adding in to the bylaw sort of an expedited process for people that do need a variance from the requirements of the bylaw. So we felt that the language that's in there addresses it, but maybe not strong enough. And so we just wanted to have an opportunity to make it just a little bit tighter. So I apologize. I know this is last minute, but I'd rather we try to get it right versus hurry to kind of push it through. So just wanted to provide that little bit of explanation. Thank you.
Thank you. So can I have a motion to adopt this agenda as amended? Councillor Toss, second.
Sure.
Councillor McCann.
I'm sorry, Your Worship. Just to clarify, it is to remove 8.1, I mean, not 8.1, 5.1 and 9.1.1.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Okay. All those in favor? Carried. All right. We'll move on to adoption of the minutes of last week's meeting. We need a motion. So moved. Toss. Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Lightfoot. Were there any errors or omissions to those minutes? No. All those in favor? Yeah. Carried. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move right on to item number 7, which is public comment, and I'm going to turn it over to Professor Storoshenko.
Thank you, Your Worship. So members of the public are now invited to comment on matters related to the agenda. And if you would like to speak, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. You can find that by clicking reaction at the bottom of your screen and then clicking raise hand. When it's your turn, I'll read your name and you'll be asked to unmute yourself. You'll get a pop-up on your screen asking you to unmute. You'll have 2 minutes to speak, and speakers are asked to please state and spell your name, say your address and the agenda item that you are speaking to. So if anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. I'll call for a second time. If anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. And I'll call for a third time. If anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now, found under reactions. And there seems to be no one here at Parish Hall, so back to you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 8.1.1, and we have the 2024 annual rebuilding and corporate plan. And CAO Mombriquette is going to speak to this.
Thank you again, Mayor O'Connor. And this item is the presentation and looking for approval for our 2024 rebuilding and corporate plan. Recognizing that it is August of 2024, However, a number of these initiatives have been reflected in our 5-year financial plan. And this document brings them forward in terms of kind of additional description and how they tie into some of council's priorities. So I'm just going to share my screen and do a short presentation, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. So that's up on the screen now. Okay, everyone can see that?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So like I said, this is the rebuilding and corporate plan for the 2024 year. The plan has come about because in section 98 of the community charter, we're required every year by June the 30th to prepare an annual report that includes the progress on our objectives for the year. This report outlines those objectives and the key targets that we will use to measure our progress against those. And it also sort of serves as the staff's work plan as we go through the year trying to work towards council's priorities. So the plan was developed to support the 5 council priorities. And just to review, those are rebuilding, relationships, governance, communication, and leadership. And these were determined by council shortly after they were elected back in this. They were determined in February of 2023. And then this plan also incorporates into it the values of the organization, which just are just sort of some statements that help guide the actions of council and staff. And those values came about as a result of our code of conduct work that was done in, I believe that was April of 2023. So I'm going to, this chart might be a little bit small, so I apologize for that. These are the key targets that are listed in the front of the plan. And what I've done is I've included in the presentation also our June 30th progress, which is the next report on the agenda, but I thought I would just combine them both into one presentation instead of going through the chart all over again. So the targets are split up according to the 5 priorities. So the first group is rebuilding, and we have the largest number of targets associated with that activity, not unexpected, as that is our kind of our key focus that we've been working on. So the first target is around the debris removal. And we've talked about having a September 30th deadline for having all of the backfill, or if completed, or at least a plan in place to complete it with each one of the owners. And so that's kind of ongoing. We'll have a better report on that later in the year. We set a target for homes occupied in the village. So we've targeted to have 10 occupied by the end of the year. I don't think there's any occupied yet, but very close perhaps. So hopefully we'll be able to reach that target. We had a target of 2 commercial buildings under construction. I had put on here 0, but I actually think the Chinese Museum qualifies as a commercial building. So we probably have 1 under construction and we have 1 more to go. The total residential building permits issued, we're targeting 20 for the year. We're at 13 right now. And just to clarify, this only includes building permits associated with houses being rebuilt, because there are some other building permits taken out from time to time for things like plumbing renovations and things like that. With respect to the improvements that are being made to the water system, we've targeted to spend $1 million of our water grant in the current year. And we picked a dollar figure just because that's reflective of the amount of activity that's going on. To date, we've spent $339,000. So we've got a little bit of work to do there by the end of the year. And the same thing with the sewer system. We've targeted to spend $200,000 of that grant by the end of the year. So far, we've spent 0 because we don't have the contribution agreement for that grant yet, but we're hoping to get that all in place and get moving on those repairs. Then we've got some targets around the village infrastructure, so the community hub, and we've talked about this schedule before, but looking to get the public consultations and the design completed over the kind of the fall winter period. Some of these projects, it's just not reasonable to make an annual target because they're longer term than that, and they're gonna go beyond. So we have we've just put some dates in here to try to focus on it. they may move as more information becomes available and the plan we get further underway with the planning. So we put the pool to be constructed by the summer of 2025. Same thing with the market space. And then the construction of a community hub building by June of 2026. As we know, this project is in its very early stages, so there's a lot of work to determine exactly what, where, and when things are going to get built. But this is just a place to start. The Public Works Building, we wanted targeted to complete the design and the construction by December of 2024. We're probably going to be a little bit later than that, but we're working towards that kind of timeline. And then with the fire hall, again, in the early stages right now. So looking to have some of those technical requirements and some of the initial consultation done over the winter period. So then on to the other priority areas. Again, the targets, there's not as many for these areas. So we have under the relationships, we had a target to have some invitations extended for meetings and gatherings with some of our First Nations partners. So we have to do that over the fall. On the governance side, we have a number of targets in the plan by department. So those are kind of more day-to-day type of things that we work on. So we'll report on those at the end of the year. On the governance side as well, though, looking at kind of some of the long-term planning for the village, looking to sort of do some analysis this fall of what the service levels will be after the rebuilding is done. And then the follow-up to that will be in the winter and spring of 2025, preparing a financial model that goes with that. So this is around looking around the longer-term financial sustainability for the village once revenue levels return to normal, service levels return to normal, that type of thing. And then the final area, the final priority area is on the communication side. So the key targets there are we're doing a website renewal, so trying to update the information and organize it in a little bit easier manner. And then just kind of continuous improvement by surveying people, making sure that we understand what information they want, how they want to receive it, and that we're responding to that. So, under the rebuilding section of the plan, it addresses community infrastructure, community buildings, and private properties in terms of the backfilling and the slope stabilization work to be done. The relationship section of the plan talks about the relationships with the local First Nations, but also with the TNRD. Of course, it's a very important partner. Many of our community members are, just outside the boundaries in the TNRD and consider Lytton to be their village. So, we'll continue to work with them. And as I said earlier, extend invitations for some gatherings, share a meal, discuss priorities, might be different types of meetings in different situations. And on the governance side, the plan encompasses the plans of each one of these departments. So we break our, kind of our functions down into legislative services, accounting, human resources, planning and development, emergency management, public works, and then economic development. So these aren't all positions, these are functions. And so there's different people might fulfill a couple of the functions. There might be, they might have more than one responsibility. And then again, on the communication side, just, we strive to make sure that we're being, transparent and open in our communication with, property owners, stakeholders, neighboring communities, government partners, all of the people that have been part of this journey with us on the recovery and the rebuilding. And then, like I said, the initial survey has taken place asking for feedback regarding the channels of communication. And we'll be doing a follow-up survey to ask about the type of information. And so we're just going to continue to ask questions, make sure that we're reaching people how and when they want. Oh, my financial slide is missing. Oh, it's in the other version of the PowerPoint. Okay, I'll just review the financial information with you. Sorry, with our switching the presentation just before the meeting, the financial slide got missed. So just very briefly on the financial side, and I just did want to clarify, there's been a lot of discussion, a lot of questions about the grant funding that has been received by the Village of Lytton. So I think it's important that we, kind of continue to review that and make sure that everybody understands what those numbers are. So the primary grants that we've received to this point, this is in the plan. If you have it in front of you, you can refer to it there. And I'll make sure the proper presentation gets uploaded to the website. So this slide is there. But we have a municipal affairs grant that was received for $6.26 million. Of that grant, we have 1.4 left to spend. From the Ministry of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness, EMCR, we received 23.4 million. That was for remediation, debris removal, and archaeology. That has been completely spent, that grant. We got a second grant from EMCR for 21 million for rebuilding. That was for the Public Works building, getting the sites ready that in terms of backfilling. We've got some funding for preparing spaces for essential staff accommodation. And we have funding for just kind of regular staffing costs and those types of things. Of the 21 million, we have 13 million left to spend. The Ministry of Forests gave the village $1 million shortly after the fire for economic recovery. We have spent 560,000 of that, 440,000 left to spend on economic recovery. And then we have a grant from Municipal Affairs for operations, 2.1 million times 2. So that's 4.2 million. And of that, we have 3.2 million left to spend. So those numbers are in the plan. I just want to keep them kind of front and center. Our 5-year financial plan, which we gave first 3 readings to an amendment to that last meeting. We go through that on a regular basis. That's more the operational day-to-day expenditures, the property taxes and those types. I just want to mention the grants separately because they're not typically included in those discussions. And I can answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions or comments for Diane?
I had one.
Councillor McCann.
I agree with you, Sao Mombercat, that the information under the financial summary cannot be repeated often enough and in as many ways as we can. Because yeah, both those 2 pages of your presentation are really nice and clear. They say how much money has been achieved, how much has been spent, what has been spent on. And I think that just really helps me to explain to other people when they all say, what'd you do with all that money? There it is. That's what happened with money. And it continue to happen. And as long as we keep doing that, I think that's important.
Yeah. Thank you. And it's not really that difficult. It's not that confusing. It's quite straightforward. Now that we've got all the buckets identified, we've been through all of the transactions, we have everything allocated properly. And we're pretty confident in the numbers that are included in that plan and that we're continually kind of going back to.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Yeah, I would like to say thank you for this work. It's just really great to see it all put into one package. I know we talk about it all the time, all the different components. I think it's really important to understand that the targets are just that. They're targets, they're not actuals. And they can change as we move forward. So, but it really does help us keep focused and keep our eye on the goal, so to speak. So, thank you so much for presenting this and putting this together. Okay, we have a recommended motion to receive this report, to approve this report. Councillor Lightfoot, sorry, second there. Thank you. All those in favor? Yeah. And carried. Great. Okay, so we'll move on down, Diane, to the key performance indicator report.
And I'm not going to go through it again because I just went through all the targets, but I just wanted to include it as a separate report just so that just to make you aware that that's how it will come. We'll be doing that 4 times a year in a separate report to council. So I just wanted to demonstrate by including the June report.
Okay, so just so I have it straight, these will come 4 times a year And then this information will be used to develop the annual report, which is due before June 30th. Is that
Correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
great? All right, so we have a motion, we need a motion to receive this information. Councillor McCann, seconder, Lightfoot, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the RCC, Two Rivers Community Recovery Program. Community Recovery Program. Diane.
Thank you. This report is to, and we might want to amend the resolution slightly because I'm not sure that it's all within my control to establish this relationship. But I think that the idea of this is that, in the village, we have a number of staff that are working on very specific, kind of infrastructure projects and building projects and kind of physical rebuild. And there's been a number of requests that have come in at various times from property owners, from councillors, from other folks, just to say, it'd really be great if we had a little bit of public space, maybe a place to sit, maybe a tree, maybe some water, just some different suggestions for some things. And they're all good suggestions, and it all makes a ton of sense. The challenge is that when the staff are looking at their priorities for the day, it doesn't necessarily rise to the top. And it's not because it's not important, but it's not maybe as urgent as some of the things that are right in front of them on a day-to-day basis. And so, we were thinking about kind of maybe a way to solve this and get a little bit more progress made on these types of items. And thought that perhaps the village could look to work with an organization like Two Rivers Community Services Society, who have typically, from my understanding, in the past, undertaken or made themselves available to assist in these types of community types of projects. And so, as I said, we might want to just amend the motion slightly to say that to direct the CAO to approach the Two Rivers Community Service Society, to establish a collaborative relationship. That might be just a bit more appropriate because I don't think I can just make it happen. But that's the purpose of the report and for the resolution.
That makes total sense. Thank you. Who would like to put that motion forward? Councillor Toss?
Yes, I'd like to make that motion as amended with the suggestions of CAO Marquette to approach that council direct the CAO to approach the Two Rivers Community Service Society to establish a relationship for the execution of enhancement projects in the village.
Perfect.
Seconder?
I'll second that.
Okay, are there any further comments? Councillor Lightfoot?
So, this is not an exclusive relationship with the village though. And I'm only saying that because in the past I've seen things like, for instance, the planters this year. It's random citizens that are just looking for a little financial aid to fill the planters. So, we're not suggesting that they have to go through the Two Rivers Society to get to the village, are we? I just don't want to make it more cumbersome. And that's why I'm asking for clarity that it's not an exclusive relationship with our staff, but in recognition of all the work they've done in our community, it's probably a predominant relationship in the volunteer sector. So
I would agree. It's not intended to be exclusive.
okay,
Good.
No.
Would a friendly amendment, the last sentence, Two Rivers Community Service Society for the execution of enhancement of some projects in the village?
Yeah.
Keep it a little more open? Something like that. Does
As
that,
determined by the CAO.
or as determined by the CAO? Yeah, something.
No,
I like it the way
it'll
it
be
is.
determined by the society.
Well, that's true.
They'll determine what projects they can assist with.
no, I think
The CAO can ask.
Okay.
I think the day-to-day of this is really operational, and the CAO will work it, on a day-to-day basis.
All right. Okay, so no further comments or questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, all
Thank you.
right. We are moving right down to item number 7, which is Public Works, and we have Brian here to give us a verbal report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Unfortunately, I didn't have time today for a PowerPoint presentation, so I'll only give you kind of the footnotes of what I was trying to put together. I felt it was important to come speak with you tonight just to let you know that we are currently on manual for the water system. So we're asking people to conserve water over the next couple of days as we monitor the system and get up and running with the new SCADA system. The Public Works crew has been assisting with the backfill by doing some grubbing ahead of geotech, removing grass and vegetation, clearing sidewalks and trying to remove tripping hazards ahead of this weekend's River Festival, as well as trying to put up some private property signs to just kind of send a message that it is people's homes and we would like to try and respect their private property. The bathroom is set up at the pool location. Unfortunately, we're missing a couple small parts, which Timber Mart has been very handy to have in town, and we appreciate them being here to assist us in doing such. People may have noticed that we didn't do the complete street closure today to do what we call the cross stitch. That was due to the fact that we were unable to get a full complement of traffic control, as well as we would like to try and do it in a little bit warmer, drier weather. So we're rescheduling that for probably sometime after the long weekend. And again, the next verbal update would be the fire.
Yeah.
Which I just wanted to mention, if it hasn't already been said, we are currently in the temporary fire hall operating. We're still working towards, being prepared for winter insulation and heating. That's ongoing. We're expecting another 5 lockers to complement the 15 that we currently have on hand. So I would encourage anybody interested in any form of volunteerism with respect to fire, motor vehicle, or medical to come join us in our new hall and check it out, see what you think, and the more the merrier.
Great, thank you. So let's put forward a motion to receive the Public Works update for information. That would be Councillor Lightfoot, seconder Toss. Were there any questions?
Yeah, I was
For Brian.
The first stitch was, you said we were going to start with this.
On Main Street. So where the dirt gravel is, where we did the water repair,
Oh, and cross stitch is repairing the cement.
cross ditch.
Oh, cross stitch.
Gravel,
Okay.
We were picturing him with his little.
Yeah, I was-
not cross stitching, no,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay,
No, the plan is to put the asphalt in there,
Okay.
hopefully get it to stabilize and not have to be constantly putting gravel in.
Is that the first and main area there?
Yeah, where we did the water tie-in on Main Street.
Thank you.
okay, no further questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, and now a motion to receive the fire rescue verbal report. That would be Councillor
Carol.
McCann and seconder
Cross.
Toss. Any questions regarding the fire department or the fire hall? Okay, none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Perfect. Thank you, Brian. Okay, we are going to move on now to item number 9.2.1, which is bylaws for adoption and financial plan. We did have this come forward, of course, before we passed a third reading at the previous council meeting, and so this is looking to adopt it. Can we put the motion forward? Councillor Lightfoot, seconder,
I'll second.
McCann. Were there any further questions or comments regarding this? No, okay, all those in favor? Carried. We'll move on to the emergency program bylaw that was presented to us last week for third. We took it to third reading, and again, we're looking to adopt this with a motion.
So moved. Cross.
Thank you, a seconder. Councillor Lightfoot, and were there any questions or comments about this? No, okay, all those in favor and carried. We have no correspondence this evening, and we're going to move right on to verbal reports, and I have very little to report. It's been 1 week since the last council meeting, of course. I did attend the groundbreaking this morning for the Legion rebuild. So I want to just personally congratulate the Legion for getting that going. And it'll be wonderful to see the buildings started on their property. I am looking forward to Friday of this week for the grand opening of the hardware store and the unveiling, of course, of the Fraser Canyon sign in the afternoon. That's all on Friday, of course, and then I hope to see everybody at Riverfest. I just have one other item here. I know that the Stein School has started their schooling for the year, and Kumsheen is about to start after the long weekend. So I just want to wish all students and staff from both of those schools a successful year. So I'll move it on to Councillor Toss.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I don't have much to report either, with our meeting being last week. Do you want to congratulate folks moving into their homes? I see a couple of people moving furniture in and getting occupancy permits, which is so exciting around me. And again, congratulations to the Legion as well. That's fantastic that they broke ground this morning. That was a long time coming, a lot of work behind that. Looking forward to Riverfest and appreciate that committee for pulling all the strings to put that together in town this year, which is so exciting. And personally, I was excited to see the Super Saver blue fencing picked up. I felt like it was the end of a kind of a dark era since the fire. And I know that they're useful in that, but it was really kind of just a negative light for me to look at every day. So I'm glad to see that as sort of like a step moving forward. It was really significant to me. So it's glad to see those leaving. So that's my report. Thank you.
Great. Councillor McCann.
I have a few things, thank you. I managed to find things to do in a week. I took emergency operations training last week with Councillor Toss. And I think I'll continue to keep learning because there's a lot to learn there.
Yeah.
On the 22nd, I attended the Fire Smart committee meeting with Councillor Lightfoot, and Brian was there as well. And there's lots of stuff going on with those guys too, right? Yeah. So, but the biggest thing was the disappointment in that they didn't have many applications for the posting. So they're going to have to post again and attempt to try and find somebody that would be a good candidate for that position. So that's going ahead. The Chief Spentland Park project is meeting weekly now because they're hoping to get something started really soon. So that was last week as well, and it'll be again tomorrow. I made it to coffee with the mayor, and there was some new people there this week, which was kind of fun. And again today at the groundbreaking at the Legion property, I just kind of caught the tail end of that. So only a week, although only a week has passed since our last meeting, things continue to be busy. I would like to speak briefly on behalf of the River Festival happening this weekend in the village. We are very excited to be hosting the festival in the village and appreciate the continued support from the village staff, and in particular, Brian and the public works staff who have worked so hard to make a safe site for the festival activities. It will be a wonderful weekend for everyone, and I look forward to seeing many Lyttonites there. That's my report. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Michelle.
I don't have anything to report this week.
Thank you. Councillor Lightfoot.
I attended coffee yesterday and we did have quite a large number and new faces, which was good to see. And as Councillor McCann said last week, I attended the Fire Smart, and I just I believe that once the Fire Smart coordinator position is reposted, that I'm assuming the village will repost it again, and I'm hoping we can get some people, because there's a lot of good programs that this person's responsible for. It's a huge scope in that position. So hopefully we'll get someone soon. And as Councillor McCann said, Riverfest this weekend. Many of us that have been involved in organizing it are looking forward to a weekday when we can put our feet up. But I'm sure it will be a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing as many old familiar faces as possible.
Thank you. All right, before we move into closed meeting, I'm just going to read an item that's been released from the previous closed meeting. Resolution 24-132C, that council approves the terms of reference for the Project Advisory Committee for the Villages Community Hub. So that is in the package, of course. All right, so we need a motion. We have a recommended motion here to move into closed meeting.
Also move.
Thank you, Councillor McCann, seconder Toss. All those in favor? Carried. So that brings us to the end of the meeting, the open meeting, and thank you everyone for attending. And I'm going to turn it back over to Corporate Officer Storoshenko.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. That concludes the public portion of the regular council meeting of August 27th, 2024. We ask that the public and staff please remove yourself from the meeting as we go into closed. Thank you for attending today's meeting and have a wonderful night. And I invite council to take a short recess while I reset the meeting to closed. Thank you.